I've finished the main storyline of Hogwarts Legacy and played over 40 hours so far, so I'm going to share some of the things that I wish I'd known sooner before playing the game, so you can hopefully have a more enjoyable experience with it and a little less head scratching. And I also won't be giving away any main storyline spoilers here, so you're all gravy there. And my thanks go to Warner Brothers and Avalanche Software for slinging me across a review code so I could get these tips and tricks out to you swiftly. And let's go over world restrictions first, because it'll be tempting as soon as you jump into the game to go and explore every nook and cranny in this world, but alas, you can't, because until you complete the quest where you reach Hogsmeade, which is around 3 to 5 hours, you won't be able to go gallivanting outside the Hogwarts grounds. And the same thing goes for the Room of Requirement, as that won't become available until you complete the introduction quest with Professor Weasley, which is an additional couple hours on top of the Hogsmeade one, which is also approximately around the time you will unlock the talents menu at level 5, which allows you to improve your spell capabilities. Now, the reason I mention all of this first and foremost is because I recommend not trying to explore or go open world hunting this early on in the game, as many important in-game mechanics will be restricted, which also means a lot of areas and quests are as well. So I would suggest you focus on the initial storyline right out of the gate and enjoy that until all of these other options become available to you. And the same can be said about flying, because I spent way too much time running around trying to activate side quests outside Hogwarts in the hope that the quest for flying would then appear. But in fact, this becomes available after the main storyline quest called the Jack Door, where you will help a ghost under the castle. And once you've completed this, Professor Kagawa will invite you to partake in flying class, which is then when you'll be able to go soaring around the Scottish Highlands. And speaking of which, this isn't something I noticed until late game, and that's while flying around, you may come across these circular platforms in fairly uneventful or inconspicuous positions dotted around the landscape, which are also not noted on your map, by the way. And these are called landing platforms. And when you do land on one with your broom, you can trigger it to function by lighting the fire blazes around it with a fire spell, or if you just stand on it for several seconds, it'll then start to rotate, which means you've unlocked it. And even though Quidditch isn't in the game, by finding and activating these flying platforms, you'll unlock a full set of the Quidditch captain's uniform in the challenge menu under the exploration tab, which is pretty cool. And a quick one to you digital deluxe owners, you won't be able to get your Onyx Hippogriff mount or Thestral mount until you complete Nat's optional quest storyline. So if you want that sooner rather than later, prioritize and focus on her side quest when it pops up in your quest log to unlock it. And speaking of unlocking, you're going to come across a lot of these confusing doors sporadically placed around the Hogwarts castle that have several triangular and numerical illustrations on them. This is of course a puzzle where you need to rotate the 2 question mark turners that are usually located on the walls next to each Arithmancy door, and if you turn each question mark to the correct image, the door will subsequently open. The thing is though, you can't guess each turner, as that will just take you ages. You need a cheat sheet to decode it, and lucky for us, we have one which is hidden outside the Arithmancy classroom, which you can get by fast traveling to the library annex Floo powder station and then following this route I'm taking now until you reach the chalkboard with the cheat sheet lootable on the bench next to it. Now you'll want to take a picture of this on your phone for quick access, and all you need to do is add up the 3 numbers in the triangle to match the number in the middle of the triangle, with each beast corresponding or equaling a specific number. You also need to make sure you turn the correct question markers on the walls, and then you'll be inside. And it looks and sounds more complicated than it is, as I spent about 30 hours trying to figure it all out, but it was because we didn't have this cheat sheet that Nika found, so all credit goes to her. Now, as for rewards inside, you will pick up your standard loot, cosmetics, and galleons, but I'm yet to unlock them all, so perhaps there is a bigger reward waiting for us somewhere in this game. But speaking of secrets, I'm going to run you through some solid tips and tricks that help me in the Room of Requirement when you do eventually get around to unlocking it. And that's firstly saving all of your galleons or gold that you earn in game to purchase the 3-slot medium pot planting table and the 2-slot large pot planting table from Tombs and Scrolls in the shop in Hogsmeade. Now this will set you back 6,000 galleons or gold, which is a significant amount of money early on in the game, but it will turn out to be a cost-effective purchase in the long run, as all types of plants can grow in these 2 tables and they allow you to grow the maximum capacity available to you in game. You can also conjure several of them to work simultaneously, so there isn't any need to purchase the small pot tables, as you can grow small plants in medium and large pots, so it's a kind of waste of money and quite restrictive to do that. But the thing is though, conjuring all of these tables will cost you a lot of moonstone, which is the resources you collect around the Scottish Highlands to then spend then to conjure a variety of different items in your room of requirement. Now, I like to start things with a bit of a blank canvas, really, and that's what I did here by running around spamming the Evanesco spell at the already preloaded or established items in the room, which then subsequently vanishes those very same items and returns moonstone currency to you free of charge to then spend on whatever you would prefer. Now, all you need to do to learn this spell is a quick follow-up quest with Professor Weasley after unlocking the room. So if it pops up, make sure you do it fast for free moonstone. Now, if you've learned anything new so far, and if you're enjoying the video so far, please do leave a very swift like down below, as it really helps me out on YouTube. So thank you very much. And while you're down there, do consider subscribing if you're new here. I've got lots more Hogwarts Legacy videos just like this coming your way as quickly as I can make them anyway. So it would be great to have you along for the ride. Now let's move on and talk about stealth, because it's a really fun mechanic and there's a few not so obvious things you're able to do when you've cast the disillusionment charm on yourself, which makes it even more enjoyable. Now first, you can one-shot enemies by using the Petrificus Totalis spell whilst creeping up close to them undetected, but you can also use your ancient magic finisher by pressing the L1 and R1 buttons together if you have your blue meter bard filled to then one-shot an enemy in style whilst also remaining in stealth. Now on top of that, you can cast Unforgivable curses while in stealth, including the Imperious curse, which turns an enemy against his allies and allows you a lot of opportunities on how you then want to approach a mission by using this mechanic. Or alternatively, you can just Avada Kedavra, the killing curse, a boss just like I've done here, and then sneak away, which is very overpowered, especially if you place additional talents in your stealth tree to reduce the chance enemies will detect you. And the game doesn't tell you this, so it is quite a cool option to know. But speaking of cool options, another great thing to do with this stealth mechanic is take advantage of the several disillusionment chests dotted around Hogsmeade, which will only open up if you creep up to it in stealth and will then reward you with 500 galleons, which is absolutely massive, especially early game. So sprint around Hogsmeade spamming Revelio and you'll have the cash you need for your room of requirement items very quickly. But whilst we're on the topic of ancient magic spells, you're going to come across these ancient magic hotspots that will appear on your map after you complete chapter 2 of the storyline, which you'll know has arrived thanks to the autumn-centric cutscene in game. Now, quite simply, these are puzzles for us to complete around the Scottish Highlands, with some of them being pretty challenging, to be honest, but there is a payoff here, and that's because if you do manage to complete 2 of them, you'll add an additional ancient magic bar to your magic meter, as you can see in the challenge menu. Now, what I would say is that I would recommend at least doing 2 of these hotspots to pick up that 3rd bar, because as you get involved in larger battles throughout the game, there's going to be a lot of ancient magic orbs dropping out of enemies, and if you collect several of them in quick succession, it's good to have a bit of headroom so none of it kind of goes to waste. And speaking of battles, let's actually go through some of these combat orientated locations you should be aware of in game. And let's start with one of my favorite encounters I experienced, and that's the infamous foes that are notable people or beasts that have a bit of backstory when you discover them on the map, and if you hover your icon over them, it does provide some interesting reading. That said, they are a lot more difficult than your standard enemies and are considered a serious challenge, which means they also drop higher quality loot. So if you want to try out your dueling skills, these are a great place of interest for you to beeline to on the map. And the same can be said about bandit camps and castles. The only difference between the two is that the castles have more enemies and drop more favorable loot. Now, these icons are quite unique on the map because once you've looted the chests in each camp, a tick will show on the icon on the map, meaning that you can't go back and refarm the chest, but mobs will still reset when you do return. And the same applies to troll and mongrel layers. They are a permanent feature on the map, so you can practice your new dark wizard build at these specific areas for a challenging enemy. And when it does come to that dark wizard build, you'll need to make sure you're investing in the correct talents out of the gate, because they are non-refundable, so you need to choose very carefully which ones you want, with new talents opening up for you to unlock at level 5, 16 and 22 respectively. Now, there's some absolute bangers on here that you need to be grabbing first, in my opinion, and that's the spell knowledge 1 and 2 talents, which will unlock additional spell diamonds for you in game. And in my opinion, this needs to be your first port of call, because having more spell diamonds easily accessible in game makes you more effective as a witch or wizard. And quite honestly, it's super annoying having to move spells in and out of the diamonds when you don't have enough room, so definitely get them first. I would also recommend that you pick up the basic cast mastery talent slot, which reduces the cooldown on all of your spells when you cast basic shots in combat, which is just tapping the R2 button. I think it's a must-have talent while you're in combat and rotating through your spells. And a third great option here is the Protego Absorption, which contributes to your ancient magic meter gain every time you block successfully, which you will be doing a lot of, so grab that as well and you're off to a good start. But if you're wanting to get hold of the 3 unforgivable curses in the game, that being the Cruciatus Torture Curse, the Imperious Mind Control Curse, and the one-shot killing curse, that being Avada Kedavra, then you're going to need to progress through Sebastian Sallow's optional quest line. And just to let you know, you'll need to be level 15 to start the Crucio and Imperio quests, as well as level 27 for the Avada Kedavra killing curse. But a cool thing to note here is if you obtain these curses before finishing the main storyline, you can actually use them against certain main storyline characters, and I of course won't say who, but if you have an interest in this type of mechanic, it may be worth finishing Seb's quest line first, so the option is there for you. And whilst we're on the topic of dark and ancient magic, you can unlock the Swift talent in the core tree, which allows you to vanish and reappear nearby if you hold down the dodge button, which I think is a super cool animation, but you can also use it to speed up your walking on certain missions when you can't mount, as it's faster than sprinting, so spam that like crazy in story missions. Now, there's some really easily missed settings and menu tricks that I came across that I think would really help you out, and the first one is the locate on map option by pressing the triangle button after hovering your cursor over one of the quests in your quest log, which will then automatically take you to that quest location, which really does help in Hogwarts, because even though it's a great looking map, I think it's really challenging to navigate from a gameplay point of view. And whilst we're on this screen, you may notice the world map and Hogsmeade tab at the top of the page. Well, what I did for 20 hours is move my cursor manually to click each one, and I'm here to tell you, do not make that same mistake I did. Simply press the left and right D-pad buttons on your controller to flick back and forth between regions. So much easier. Now, I also found it a little bit challenging to easily identify which regions were the most appropriate for me in terms of difficulty according to my current level in game at the time. But if you zoom far out on the world map, you'll then be able to highlight each county, which will then tell you what the recommended level is for you, depending upon your level and that area to quest in. Now, you are able to change the difficulty level easily throughout the game in the settings menu, as well as turn off the mini-map for a cleaner, more immersive experience. And if you're after a save option, good news, because the game does provide you with several slots for multiple house playthroughs. You just need to press start, go into settings, and click manual save. And a cool trick here, when you unlock your room of requirement, you can ask Deke to change the ambience of the room, which will then change what your main menu screen will look like, which is a super nice detail from the dev team there. Now, if you haven't played yet, I've made a complete beginner's guide for you in this video on your screen right now. So give that a click so you can get even more out of this awesome game, and I'll see you there in just a second. But if you're still here, my huge thanks to Nika, who has joined me in early access and has scoured the game to get the best info for you. So Butterbeer is most certainly on her, and I'll see you in that next video.